Life is a never-ending process of transformation. We are becoming someone else every single day by simply existing. So the question is, can we influence who we are becoming? Can we have a say in who is it that we will meet 1 year from now, looking in the mirror? Or is this something random and chaotic and we have really zero control over? The answer is we have a lot of control over who we are becoming. I will share my opinion from the lens of my own transformation and how I made sense of it. And this is, of course, just one of several interpretations, but it's an interpretation that I believe in deeply. And because I believe in it, I start, of course, to see more and more of evidence in support of it. Now, of course, the obvious caveat here is that I might be biased about how I'm looking at things. At the same time, part of my theory is that what I think and how I think is exclusively my own business, and I'm not doing this to convince anyone of anything, but to just offer a perspective for those who feel stuck, maybe, or those who tried a lot of things to improve the quality of their lives and didn't succeed. So we all have something in mind, right? We all want something. Our becoming process is typically goal-oriented. It's goal-focused. Even if we don't consciously set a goal, we want to achieve something out of life. We want the things that we do every single day to have meaning and purpose and serve something, serve an outcome, right? Sometimes if we don't investigate deep enough about what we really want in life, those outcomes that we seek and guide our day-to-day activities are typically in service of achieving some sort of material possession, right? You want to have a new car, you want to make $1 million, you want to, I don't know, something which is physical, which is material, which is palpable, something that will raise you as a human, right? As a person in society, something that puts you on a pedestal, in a place where others can appreciate you and validate you and confirm you, right? Tell you that, yes, you made it. These are, of course, vanity metrics, and no one really cares. No one really cares about you as such that much, except maybe your close family members, because of a simple reason. Everyone cares considerably more, much more about themselves. Everyone is in this way kind of egoistic, and they follow their own needs and their own interests, right? But I'm all in the business of living a fulfilling life today, not tomorrow. I'm all in the business of finding those things worth achieving in the first place, right? Because I've been on this race of having more stuff and buying more things and getting more and having more. And it left me empty inside. It felt miserable at some point because I knew that no matter how many things I start to accumulate or I have at the end of the day, it will not bring me real, genuine happiness. To the point of believing that I was somehow broken and this happiness thing is just escaping me. It's just, I'm not meant to really enjoy life in its beauty without first having something, right? And this is the core idea of this video today, to deconstruct the be, do, have sequence, right? When we want something in the future, we seek and strive for the have, right? We want something. And why we want that something typically is because we don't feel satisfied enough with what we have. If we are again striving for the material thing first, if I say, you know, I would really like to have a new car. I like this one, but it's not really my ideal car, so I want a new car. Because I create this desire of a new car, implicitly I get dissatisfied with my current car. Now, you might say, okay, don't be hypocrite. What are you saying? I should never want something new or better? No. But that's where the art of achieving and pursuing comes in. Because if you want the thing because you are not happy with what you have now, you're basically placing your own happiness on a material possession from the future, which you don't yet have, right? Which means that the time it takes you from this moment on, when you generated that desire, until you have that thing, no matter how devoted you are to this pursuit, in achieving that goal, in having that possession, you are not 100% satisfied. You are pursuing this new car so that you are not at least slightly unhappy with the car that you have now, right? So for me, instead, this whole pursuit, this whole goal striving and goal achievement is not for having something mainly, right? It's not driven by me needing something in addition to what I have now or different than what I have now. I think I even can close the lights. For me, the process of becoming is the most important element in the pursuit. Who am I becoming at the end of my pursuit is infinitely more important than achieving the concrete, objective, material possession that will prove, in a way, the fact that I made it. But the thing in itself is not important for me, right? The ability to get the thing, the capability of me to just afford maybe a new car, if this is really what I think I want, right? Or doing the things that I enjoy doing on my day-to-day basis out of my genuine interest in doing those things. And as a byproduct of doing them, I get to have, if I want, some material possession, then that material possession is a byproduct and it's a secondary thing, right? I'm not interested in that. Why? Because I experienced what it means to live, right? By seeing someone close dying. And that was a crude but very needed realization for me, because I just realized that at the end of our lives, nothing really matters except us having lived a life of no regrets. Having lived a life in which we gave our best to us becoming the best versions of ourselves for the people who can model us and can then continue showing for others some of the elements that maybe we've taught them, right? So the whole thing for me is that because this life that we are living is an ongoing, never-ending transformation, it's a process, right? And a process takes some inputs and has some outputs, right? Whenever you do something, you get something out of it. Now, when I think about the output of the transformation process, that's, for me, for example, in terms of having, in terms of material possession, it's blurry. I don't want something specific, except maybe just to measure my progress, right? But for me, for example, it's a bit more abstract. It's like I want, as a byproduct of this ongoing transformation process, to live my ideal life, to live the kind of life that I know I can influence, to take ownership of the transformation process within my own means, right? Me becoming someone else in terms of biological progression, in terms of aging, I can control up to a point. But in terms of me becoming the kind of person that I would like to become when I will get older, inevitably, because we all get to meet an older version of ourselves at some point in the future, right? Even tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be a different person. Is the becoming process from today to tomorrow something that you have any interest in influencing? I would argue that this is one of the most important things that you can take ownership of. So for me, the output of the becoming process, right, the transformation process, which is a becoming process, is generating the kind of life that I aspire to create for myself. Now, what is the input in this process, right? Something has to be manipulated, something has to be processed, right, by the process in order to generate me this output, which is my ideal life. Well, the input here are simply the actions of my future self, my future ideal self. And the process itself is the transformation, right? The becoming process, life doing its thing. By me acting today and becoming today, on being rather today, my future self, I narrow the distance, if you want, between this version of myself of today, we are 28th of September, until me becoming that version of myself that I have in my mind, towards which I strive to become, right? So, by simply being who I want to be in the future, forces me to think like that person. And that person is doing something, right, different than I'm doing it today. So the whole process of be do have, I flip it on its head. Instead of thinking, I want this, I want to have this, right? Which then, okay, forces me to first have it in order to be able to do something so I can become someone, right? Like the narrative of most people is, if I would just have more resources, more money, then I would be able to do this philanthropic thing, or I would be able to donate money if I would have more money. And then if I would be able to donate more money, then I will have also, I don't know, some respect from other people or whatever. First, you have to respect yourself. And then do the thing that you know it's true to your future self. And by doing that, you inevitably get to have also the kind of material possessions that your future self has, right? Having is not something that will make you happy. Striving for having something more in terms of physical material possession will keep you in this endless loop of pursuing the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, always permanently discounting the value of what you already have. And if you were to really appreciate what you have, you would generate the kind of state of mind and attitude that will allow you to enjoy the process of becoming someone that you consciously choose, in terms not of what they have, but in terms of who they are, right? In terms of the values that they care about, in terms of the activities and the experiences of their everyday life that you enjoy having more of going into the future, right? So here is a simple exercise for you. Write a letter as your future self, as your ideal self. It can be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 1 year from now. Write a letter as that person to the current version of yourself today, in the present tense, right? This is me 5 years from now. And then just describe an ordinary experience of your everyday existence in that future, right? Describe it to your current self. Say, I am name, This is 2028. This is what I'm doing, right? Because the being, the becoming, right, be to have, the issue I had with it at the beginning was that, okay, but what does it mean to be someone, right? Be to have is in this sequence. But what does it mean to be first, right? The having part, I understand, okay, I have this material possession, I see it. Then if I see it, then, I can get some sort of a determination to do something. And then if I do something, I become. But if you flip the process and you say be do have, what does it mean to first be? Well, if you do this exercise, you will realize that when you will write as your future self now to your current self, this letter, this genuine open letter, where you are simply describing what you are living, what you are experiencing, an everyday experience, right? The different activities that you engage in during that ordinary day. It's not a special day as such, it's just a normal day. But supposedly that normal day is part of a life that you designed, right? It's part of a life that you would really enjoy living 3 years from now, 5 years from now, doesn't matter. This is an exercise, first of all, in showing to yourself if you can even dream of living this life. If you even articulated this vision enough for yourself to know how your future self would live his life. Because the tricky thing is that most of us, we are frustrated and pissed about the everyday experience, and we would rather have some, aspects of our everyday life different, but we have no idea what we are actually aspiring to achieve, right? So we are left with judging small events of everyday life at face value. This is good, this is bad. And this happens simply because we don't have a future ideal life well crystallized in our mind, felt, lived, right? Visualized enough times to know how it looks like. We don't have that materialized in our minds enough to contextualize the hardship of the everyday experience. Because inevitably, if you want to become someone else in the future, a better version of yourself, an improved version of yourself, this transformation process is occasionally painful. The bigger the gap there is between who you are today and who you want to become in the future, in terms of how you are living your everyday existence, who you are surrounded by, your environment, the things you care about, your profession, the bigger the difference between these two people, right, who you are today and who you will be in 3 years, let's say, the bigger the difference, the bigger the disruption, as you can imagine. So if you want to be a completely different person in the future, again, in terms of everyday activities, right, your dream life, if you want to have your dream life, and that dream life is nothing like what you're currently living, you cannot expect that the journey towards living that life is a journey with no events. That would be the definition of adventure, right? And in an adventure, you have events that you cannot account for at the beginning of your journey, right? It's called adventure because it's not always something that you can anticipate. It's not something that you can always foresee, right, and prepare for. Because if that would be the case, it would mean that the goal that you're pursuing is not big enough. It means that you already know how to get there. And if you already know how to get there, then you would have gotten there already, right? What would keep you stuck if you already know how to get there? And if it's clear, if the path is clear, if you have a very well planned and you can execute it at, in its perfection, and you just get there, where you're not there yet. So again, if you want to live a life that is considerably different than the one that you have now, you will encounter disruption. You will encounter obstacles. You will encounter challenges. But this time, you feel pulled by the future, right? You contextualize the hardship on the back of this ideal life that you want to live. And you know that because you're so committed to living that life, there is no way in you failing to get there. And this is what keeps you going. This is what gives you energy in the moment to go through obstacles and through challenges, and not only trying to avoid them and escape them, but evolve to the point of actually being grateful for them, because you know that they are part of this necessary process, and every single challenge is there to test the faith that you have in yourself for becoming who you say you want to become, and to test your resolve, to turn you along the way into the kind of person who most probably has better improved abilities than you currently have. And if you want to become more resilient, let's imagine in your ideal self, you want to become more resilient, right? You want to be more calm, more peaceful. You want to be stronger. You want to be more confident. You want to have more authority. You want a lot of things out of yourself, right? Well, the current version of yourself is simply not compatible with that image. So in your pursuit, in your adventure to meeting that person in the future at some point, your current self has to evolve. Who you are today is clearly not compatible with who you want to become. And you cannot expect that this journey will be always pleasant as such. It will be painful. But now, because you have that ideal goal, and you see yourself, and you see the life that you can have, and you feel that you can live it, because, again, in the exercise that we did with writing as your future self a letter to your current self, if you can fully embody the emotion of your future self when you are describing the beauty of the life that you are living, it means that you are already living that life today. For the time that you're writing the letter, right? If you allow yourself that positive outcome, if you allow yourself to create a narrative about your ideal life, that future self is active, is real, right? Temporary, you can embody his mind, right? You can become him today and write as him. And if you don't have any sort of resistance towards that vision, and you can easily write down the things that make up your life, right? His life today, it means that you are already that person. It means that for the time of the writing, at least, until, doubt and fear creeps in, you allowed yourself to become that person. And that's a prerequisite, right? Because if you don't believe today that that future is real and you will inevitably get there, you will not find the motivation to push through the hardship to become that person, right? Because you know that that future self of yours was full of bullshit, and he didn't believe in what he was writing, and he had resistance towards something that should have been part of his reality at that stage, right? If you try to write about your everyday experience as your future ideal self today, and you have resistance, and you don't know what to write, and you are confused, and you are scared about even dreaming at that ideal life because it engages the current self in a way or another, then you will not be able to find the motivation and rather transform the journey and the hardship into the very fuel needed for your transformation. Because you have to make your current self buy into that vision first. There will be on this journey so many moments in which you doubt yourself. You wonder if this makes any sense at all, if you are not crazy for thinking this big, right? Are you worthy of even imagining a better version of yourself some years from now? Are you deserving that? These are the thoughts that will inevitably come. Of course, I can say that because they come for me. And these days I embrace them. I know that these thoughts are simply the byproduct of a current self who is scared about what he doesn't know yet, right? He is scared about the unknown unknowns that I will have to discover along the way towards me becoming and embodying this ideal version of myself. He's scared and he wants to help. And I care for him, right? I care for the current version of myself every single day. And I tell him, look, it's normal not to know everything, but don't worry. Tomorrow, your tomorrow self, my tomorrow self, so who you will leave as legacy for tomorrow, will know better, will know something a bit more, right? So who I will be tomorrow, my tomorrow self, let's say, will be slightly more experienced than my today self, who might have some fears. By me going through life, by me owning my journey, by me simply executing on my purpose and living with this vision of my ideal self in mind, I get the motivation and the fuel that I need to know that I'm always progressing towards that vision. And because progress is never linear, I don't judge myself every single day for not, meeting a certain metric or a certain milestone that I imagined, 3 months ago or 6 months ago when I had no idea where I will be, today. So I am first of all compassionate and respectful and empathic and loving towards my current self and my present day self and my yesterday self and all my selves that lived up to this day and took me to this point, right? Because they did all their best. They did everything they could. Myself 5 years ago had even no idea who I want to become today, 5 years from now, right? So I cannot expect today that, I cannot put the burden in retrospect on my former self 5 years ago to know who he should be 10 years, right? From that point on, like 5 years from now on. All these selves that I lived up to this point, they took me here, right? And I'm grateful for everything they did. And in the same light, I today will do the best I can to live as best of a legacy for my tomorrow self so he can continue on his journey towards, at some point, becoming that ideal self that I currently envision. And the nice thing about this process is that who am I today is already the ideal self of who I was 5 years ago. So I don't live in the anxious anticipation of meeting at some point in the future this ideal self of mine that would save me or make my life better. I already live in this gratitude and this joy every single day because I am living today as my ideal self of some years ago, right? So I continue to live in gratitude for the effort that all my previous selves did in order to take me here. And it's such a lovely way to live, right? Because I can still pursue, I can still go through life with traditional goals, if you want, but those goals, they are basically ways of measuring my becoming process in a very subjective way. Because my becoming is unique, and I am the sole responsibility of owning it and assuming it fully, and have complete responsibility over it, right? I will never criticize or condemn or complain about people not helping me or not being there for me. Or this victim mentality is for me the most, how can I say, self-defeating strategy that you can ever have in your life. Being a victim, even if you have all the rights and all the people around you confirming that you deserve to own this identity of a victim, it's never going to generate a happy existence. And I only care about living happy today, which I do, which is amazing. While also knowing that, the pursuit mechanisms in my brain, they still exist, but I just hacked the reward pathways, right? I hacked them. Because now I get rewarded by the process itself. I don't get rewarded by the outcome of the process. And the process itself is the becoming process, right? I put in the inputs, which are simply the doings, the actions of my future self, by knowing how he lives his everyday life. I simply do more of those. I live my life today in as much alignment as I can with the life that my ideal self lives. And the becoming process will inevitably take me to that person. And that person, guess what? That person knows how to do and what to do in order to have whatever he wants to have. It's much simpler than saying, I need this thing to be happy. And if I don't have it, then I'm not happy and I will live a miserable existence until that point. And everything that comes in my way up to that point is an obstacle, and I must resist it, and I must fight it, and I must compete with everyone else in order to get it so that I can have this thing to make me happy. No. I'm not playing those kind of games anymore. I'm playing my own unique happiness game against rules that I create myself on my own terms, and I compete in my own game with me, only with me. I compete with my yesterday self to prove to my tomorrow self that I can do better, while appreciating the actions that my yesterday self did in order to support me, right? So it's really not a competition as such. It's rather an infinite game. It's a beautiful game. And I will play it each day until I will not be part of this world anymore, right? Because this game never ends. It's an infinite game, right? The becoming process, life itself, is a process that never ends. So by finding and defining your own game and playing that game on your own rules, on your own terms, it's the best way to live, right? Because you are not forced to lose by other people's rules. How can you expect to win a game that you didn't design yourself? Not possible. So I design my game, the rules of my game, I play by them. I am winning at it because it's my game. And I create the kind of reality that I decide to create for myself. So I live a life by design. I let the becoming process, I let life just do its thing. I acknowledge and accept the defaultness of life being here and me being a part of it, an integral part of it. And that being, which I'm a part of, it's always perfect, and I'm just going with it, right? I'm flowing with it. Now, my own worldly strivings in terms of what I want to achieve, in terms of, goals and so on, this is secondary. But first, I have to honor life. And life can only be honored in this very moment. And how can we honor it? Well, by first being grateful for how it presents itself in every moment. And looking at each event as a God's gift and as a reward for being faithful to who we want to become, and just leverage everything as a lesson. Learn from life. Learn from everything that happens. Because it happens for you, it doesn't happen to you. It happens for you, right? It's just a decision, right? One of my favorite quotes is from Einstein, who said, the most important decision we have to make for ourselves is to decide whether we believe to live in a friendly or a hostile universe. So Einstein framed beliefs as decisions. So it all starts with you deciding to believe that the universe is a friendly universe. Because if you decide, even subconsciously, without your conscious awareness, that everything happens against you, and that this universe is hostile and is aggressive, and everyone wants to do you harm, then this is what you will experience in life. This is the beauty of life, ultimately, right? It gives you what you ask for it, consciously or unconsciously. Because your brain will attune to accumulate selective proof according to your beliefs. This is how it is. And I'm proving this to myself every single day. If you believe and anticipate negative outcomes in the future, to unconsciously fuel the kind of beliefs that you already have, which are familiar to you, you will find a lot of reasons to believe that the universe is hostile. You will have enough proof that this world is a mad world, that everyone is coming to get you, and that you just are not destined to live a happy existence. You will find a lot of proof for that, for sure. So, me not choosing to believe that I live in a hostile universe is not making me ignorant, is allowing me to control my destiny in a way and take ownership of my life and how my life presents itself to me. The kind of experiences that I have, no matter if they look negative on the outside, that's not the point. Because an experience might look negative on the outside for a person who experiences or sees what I'm going through, and they say, he's having a hard time, right? The poor guy, or whatever. But if I see that as the very thing that I need to evolve and become the kind of person that I know genuinely I can become, and I love becoming every single day, then that thing, that event in itself is not negative. It's negative subjectively for the person who thinks it's negative, who might live in a hostile universe, and it's positive subjectively for me, who I think I'm living in a friendly universe, right? So I frame every event to my liking. I assign the meaning of events in order to take me to where I want to go, in order to shape the very nature of events in a subjective way, of course, to the point of it making sense for me. I don't care if it doesn't make sense for other person. Events as such, they are never objective. They are filtered through our own reasoning and cognitive abilities and belief systems. So we see reality not as it is, but as we are, right? But this happens automatically for people, and very few people really take ownership of this. Very few people, first of all, have the awareness of this happening to them. So they are automatically pulled in this vicious cycle of living this unsatisfactory life because they don't know how to get out of it. They don't know that they actually can break this pattern. They can become aware of this happening to them and take ownership of it and change it. Not to prove anyone anything, but for themselves, because they are the creators of their own reality. We all are. And everything that we experience every single day is nothing more but our own projections out of our own core beliefs that sometimes they just stay there and we take for facts and truth. And they are not. Beliefs are decisions. Consciously or unconsciously, we took at some point in our evolution, in our trajectory through life, certain decisions. Some of them come because people told us that we should believe that. So they are societal and culturally imposed. Some other times, they are just our own wrong understanding about the world, right? Negligence, maybe at certain age, turned into hostility towards others, right? And then you derive this narrative in your mind because you live in this negative emotional state for a while. You derive the fact that people are bad and people want to hurt you. And this core belief, caused by some sort of bad behavior from some close people of yours, maybe in your childhood, in your own development, this narrative becomes your core truth. And then everything that you experience in life is filtered through this core truth, right? So you label people automatically as being bad simply because you had a bad experience with people and you are not able to rewrite your past, right? You are not able to live in a friendly universe anymore. But it all starts with awareness. It all starts with you being conscious that there is another way and that suffering is optional. Suffering is optional. Pain is not. Pain is something physiologic, but pain is good. In small doses, acute pain, self-induced pain, right? Not in a masochistic way, but I don't know, if you are doing sports or if you are like pushing your body to grow and evolve, you will feel pain. But instead of saying this feels bad, I should stop, you can say, I expect to feel pain in my becoming process. I expect, because I grow and evolve, to feel pain because my body is transforming. My psychology, my psyche, my mind is evolving. I feel pain, and that's okay. I let it be. I accept it. I allow it to be there. I accept it. I embrace it. I'm grateful for it because it's a signal that I'm on the path towards becoming the kind of person that I know I can become. If the journey will be comfortable, you will not change. If the journey will not challenge you, you will stay the same. You will not evolve. That's a fact. So when you see the pain as a necessary element to your becoming process and you embrace it to the point of getting rewarded by it and being grateful for it being here because it's a signal of your evolution, then everything changes for you. Everything changes. And you get to dictate how you live your life. And you make choices that are true to you. And that's enough. You get to live an authentic life where you don't need to explain yourself to people, where you make your own choices, irrespective of implications, if they are true to you, if they make sense to you. You just have a well-calibrated compass that helps you with your day-to-day decision-making, right? You are always in contact with this ideal self of yours who guides your own evolution towards that place. And that's the only thing that matters. That's the only thing that matters in life. Because life is not guaranteed. You don't know if you will live 20 more years, 40, 50, 10, 1. No one knows. So why not live how much time you have here in this integrated state of you being congruent with yourself and helping others along the way if they ask you, right? Because each person has their own transformation process, and each transformation, each evolution of each individual is part of life becoming something else, right? Life always transforming itself. So each journey is unique and special and sacred. There is no transformation journey better than other, right? Everyone is in their own stage of evolution in this physical form, right, on this earth. And that's perfect as it is always, because we are all part of life. We are all, right, an integral part of life. And we become someone by simply staying alive. We are part of life itself, right? No matter how much the mind fights the reality of what is, life is going on always. It's just continuing. It's never stopping. And we are part of it. And we always go on. So from that point of view, life is always perfect. There's nothing to improve. There's nothing to fight. The only thing you can do reliably is to take ownership of your mind and direct your thoughts in the direction of a certain goal that you want to have in your life. And of course, there are all sorts of goals, right? There are superficial goals, but there are also purposeful goals. And for me, a purposeful goal is a goal in which I don't care about the having part. I care about honoring the process and becoming someone that I care about becoming. Because I am creator. I'm the creator of my life. And I choose to become whoever I want to become. I own the process, right? Life is, first of all, whatever label you want to attach to it, it loses its meaning at some point. You choose how life is for you. You decide. You have to at some point develop the courage to investigate those beliefs which keep you in a state of lackness or underdevelopment, in a state where you cannot really fully embrace who you are and achieve your own potential. And that's very difficult to do alone, because those beliefs, again, you take them as the absolute truth and they dictate who you are ultimately and how you perceive yourself being. They are at the core of your own life experience. And to challenge them is to challenge your own existence in a way, to challenge your own identity, how you see yourself today, how you think you should be so that others can recognize you and see you, right? That's another important element. So we fear change because we don't want to disrupt this image of who I am, who will think people I will become, what will think others of me if I will change and dare to pursue my dreams, right? The easy answer again is no one. No one really cares. They all care about themselves. They have the same problems as you. And if anything, you doing something that you genuinely feel that you should be doing will just show them an example of what they can also achieve for themselves. And that's a gift. Thank you.